It's a great honor to welcome Dr. V Mohan, the Chairman, Chief Diabetologist in Mohan Specialty Center at Chennai. And he's also an eminent researcher who has got lot of accolades to the country. I know Dr. Mohan personally for almost a couple of decades, and it has been a great honor that when we had approached Sir for one of our coffee table book, which we had launched during RSSA, it was a great gesture that he had came to our stall and launched this with a great contribution with the foreword. And Dr. Mohan, as in this vision and this centers, is one of the pioneers in the field of diabetology. And anything which Dr. Mohan says becomes top line in the news in the medical fraternity in the field of diabetology. The motto of Dr. Mohan, in fact, is that healthy, long living despite diabetes is what his motto. And I'm happy to share, under Sir's diabetic care, there are almost more than there are few patients who have even crossed 100 years and are having a healthy life. So that's one of the prominent motto which he has been accomplishing. And adding to the credentials, it's a long one, but still a few which I know is there are almost 60 diabetic centers which Sir has initiated across the country, and of course there are a few globally as well. And apart from that, Sir's researches has been always a prominent one and has got its own international recognitions always. Sir, of course, has got multifaceted personality. In fact, not only a diabetologist, as a doctor, he is an entrepreneur, and he has always got the Midas touch. Whichever he takes up as an objective or as a reach, obviously that becomes a big brand. And apart from many of the diabetic initiatives which he has taken up, has become big brands now. Apart from that, Sir, there is always a saying that I may be late, but yes, I'm always the latest. So one thing which I got impressed with Sir was the new entry of us into the social media platform. Sir joined the social media platform in the recent, in this current year, in the end of January. Now we are happy to know that he has got almost lakhs of followers on the Facebook, and the YouTube channel of us has got a lot of subscribers within a very, very short span. And adding to his credentials, Sir has been treating more than 5 lakh patients till now with his complete dedication in the field of diabetology. So with this little information which I have about Sir, I thought let it share it with you all, and I invite Dr. Anil Parekh to say a few words and take the proceedings.
Good evening, friends and colleagues from IPCA. It's indeed our great pleasure, and we are all fortunate today that all of us will be addressed by none other than Professor Dr. V Mohan. I think he needs no introduction. Whosoever is there in the field of diabetes, the one name, the foremost expert of diabetes in our country, not only in our country, but he is recognized across the globe. When I had a fortune of attending the various meetings like ADA and all that, his name was singled out in the presidential oration. So I think his contributions are immense in the field of diabetology, with almost more than 1,300 publications. I think the number is increasing almost every month. We find the his publications. So he has the ideal combination of which anybody would like to aspire as a doctor, is the combination of clinical practice, research, and teaching. He's the ideal. I don't think any other person has that mixture of both clinical practice, research, as well as teaching, which he does. I think this is really, really phenomenal, and coming generations will continue to be inspired by him, and they will look at a person who has done so much research and so much work in the area of diabetology. So we can almost I consider him as the living legend in diabetology from our country. And I was also fortunate to interact with him on quite a few occasions, and this is really meeting him, and it is really inspires you. And one of his lectures which he gave, how when you have a diabetes, how it can be taken as a blessing in disguise, which is a very, it's a paradox sort of. You have diabetes, yet when you follow a lifestyle it can be, blessing in disguise, and patient can live, if they follow this healthy lifestyle, diabetes patients, they can live along and maybe almost close to 100, which many of his patients are octogenarians, and maybe even in the 9th decade. I think that lecture was very, very enlightening. So without any saying anything further, I would request Dr. Mohan to kindly enlighten our IPCA colleague IPCAites on healthy living, and then we can, after his session, we can have some question answers with him. It's an opportunity which we are all looking forward to. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Anil Parikh, for those very kind words, and thank you to Mr. Johnny Edwin for also introducing me. I feel as if I'm coming home because I interact so closely with Mr. Johnny Edwin on a regular basis, as well as with Dr. Anil Parikh. And in recent times, we've been working more closely with IPCA. So I was fortunate enough to give a scientific talk recently. And so when I was approached to give a motivational talk to the employees of IPCA, I was pleasantly surprised. But that's one of my jobs that I do, is to motivate people. So I hope this session is useful to you. We will definitely take some questions at the end of it. This is not a talk on diabetes as such, but on general on healthy living. But I'll touch a little bit on diabetes here and there, being a diabetologist. So let me take this first slide. Is the slide visible?
Yes.
Visible now?
Yes.
Okay. So the title is Healthy Living at the Time of COVID, and this is, I think one more click. And this will be the flow of my presentation. I'll first talk a little bit about COVID, not too much because so much is in the press about COVID, but still to set the context, because the starting and the ending will be about COVID. So I'll have to talk a little bit about COVID. Then about building up of immunity, which is very important. Everybody is bothered about immunity these days after COVID has set in. Few slides on management of diabetes, only 3 or 4. And then I'll get into this last part of why, despite all that we are hearing, all the bad news, why we still need not panic about COVID. Now, many of us will be thinking that we are living in some cursed period. Why is this suddenly, up to last year, nothing like this came to us, and suddenly we are seeing this, explosion of an epidemic which is hitting us. Humanity has faced these for years, for centuries. We don't know. I mean, 1,000 years ago, what happened? 5,000 years ago, what happened? How do we know? There's no recorded history, nothing. But we know that even in, in the 430 BC, this is before Christ, at that time itself, there was a plague which killed many people, and so on and so forth. In 1300, we knew that there was a Black Death which killed between 25 to 50 million people. Imagine in the year 1300s, what would have been the population of the world? Only, less than 1 billion people, probably half a billion. And for this many people to die, it's a very big number. Closer to where we are now, about 100 years ago, the Spanish flu killed almost 50 million people. So this is just 100 years ago. And many people, because this was written about quite a bit, so we know a lot about Spanish flu. In recent times, we have had the SARS and the H1N1, the swine flu, the MERS, Ebola, Nipah, and so on. None of these are of course much smaller than COVID, but none of these really came to India in a big way. So we escaped. Some of the African countries and some of the other countries, Middle East was MERS. So in some of the Southeast Asian countries, these were a problem at that time, but none of the scale of COVID-19. Now, one of the first questions which comes up is, how do I know whether I have a common cold and flu or whether I have coronavirus and COVID-19? Now, if you have a running nose which you have when you have a normal cold, that's not so common in a coronavirus. It doesn't affect the nose and lead to, that's more common in allergic rhinitis, or if you have a viral flu, that's where it is more common, okay? Sore throat, yes, it is common, but again, not so common in coronavirus. Cough is very common. So if you start coughing and you have fever, then it is likely that you have this coronavirus. And then difficulty in breathing is the most important symptom. So in cold and flu, very rarely do you get difficulty in breathing, because when you have difficulty in breathing, it usually means the lung is affected. And in cold and flu, Normally the lung is not affected, it's upper respiratory tract. Here, the lower respiratory tract gets affected. So if you have to put down some emergency or warning signs, and you should know these because only about 5 or 10 out of 100 people affected develop these kind of symptoms. Breathing difficulty or shortness of breath, that means the lung is affected. If there's persistent pain or pressure in the chest, it means the heart is affected. The heart can get affected in many ways actually. You can get angina, you can get myocardial infarction, you can get viral myocarditis. There are many ways in which the heart can get affected. If the brain gets affected, then you have confusion, inability to arouse, they start going into a coma. And then cyanosis or bluish lips means that you're not getting enough oxygen. Suddenly people have started buying pulse oximeters and testing that. And I don't think it's really necessary to buy a pulse oximeter and keep it at home and so on. If you feel breathless, then because that very often gives wrong readings also. But a bluish lips or bluish face means definitely there is no oxygen in your body. These are all symptoms. If you get, you should be already in hospital if you're getting these. So I'll talk more about COVID. I'll come back to that later. Now, how do we build up immunity? Because you see, the virus goes in. I always give this example. Suppose you have a matchbox. Okay, why do some people do worse when you get a disease like immunity, like COVID-19, and others don't do so well? The example I give is you take a matchbox and you light the match. Now you just put it on the ground. Okay, it'll after a few seconds it'll just die off. There's nothing there. But suppose there was some inflammable material lying on the ground. For let's say there's a little bit of kerosene there, or there was petrol there, or there was some paper there or something there, and this falls on that. Immediately it blows up because that one light is enough to blow it up. That's what happens in COVID-19. Many people, COVID-19 is like that matchbox. It will come, it will fall, it will go away also. Nothing, many of us may be even affected, we may not even be knowing about it, okay? Why? The difference is because we have immunity. If we have immunity, it's like an ordinary surface on the ground. Nothing will happen. With a match you put there or whatever you put there, nothing will happen to it. But if you're a weak body, if you're a frail person, if your immunity is low, then situations like COVID-19 can really blow up in the body. So it's all about building up of immunity, which is very important. If you're talking about being healthy, you must build up your immunity. Now, why do the young people have better immunity compared to the elderly? As you grow older, many things happen. Some of your hormones will change, your organs will start aging, and your immune function itself will start declining. Okay, because nature gives you a peak in youth and in adulthood, then slowly it plateaus off, and then gradually your body is declining. That is a natural human, your age is something you really cannot cheat. You can dye your hair, you can do many things, but you really cannot cheat age. It's a non-reversible risk factor, both for heart disease, for diabetes. Age is something which you simply cannot, change. But, however, like a young person who has a robust immune function, as you age, if you also look after your body well, if you do the things that I'm telling you today, then actual age, your biological age, maybe say 80 or 90, but you're actually like a 60 or 70-year-old person. On the other hand, if you have accelerated aging, then all your immune functions are very low. Then at 60, you will be like an 80-year-old person or 90-year-old person. So age is only a number. It is your own frailty, your own immune system, which makes all the difference. When you talk about immune function, nutrition, of course, plays a very important role. As I said, there are a host of things on the left side here which are not under our control. Early life events. What was your birth weight, for example? That's not under our control. You're already born. Genetics. What your father gave you, mother gave you. Gender. For example, in COVID, there's been a lot of data that males don't do as well as females. So some protective factor from the estrogens and so on. Age, I already mentioned. Hormonal status. Exposure to pathogens. How much of the virus actually entered you? That also makes a difference. Now, all these are not really under control. So what's under our control? Diet is under our control. I'll talk about that. Gut microbiota. In your gut, if your microbiota are very healthy, then your immune function is good. Obesity is really bad, because if you are obese, your lung function is not good. You start snoring, you have sleep apnea, your sleep is not good, your heart function is not good, you develop left ventricular hypertrophy, you develop diabetes, a lot of things. So obese people don't do so well. Alcohol consumption, especially in excess, smoking, even small quantities, very dangerous. Your lung is already, if your lung is affected due to smoking, a little bit of COVID is enough to finish off that lung. Exercise, if you do exercise regularly, you build up your immunity. If you reduce your stress, so stress reduces your immunity. If you reduce your stress, you improve your immunity. Vaccination history, you can't vaccinate against COVID, but you can have one or two other vaccinations like influenza and pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination. We'll talk about that. So now let's come to what are the general tips for improving immunity. The first is to eat healthy and nutritious food. We'll spend a little time on that. Second is exercise. Third, as I said, is to reduce stress and anxiety. Good nutrition practice or principles, if you look at it, you must eat well. There's no question of starving yourself. Even if you're obese, and I said obesity is a risk factor. In the next 4 weeks, are you going to lose weight? So what are you trying? If you starve yourself now, you'll only become more weak. Your immunity will only come down. So you eat well, but you eat the right things. Okay, so eat right is very important. Eat slowly. Don't swallow your food. Because you swallow your food without digesting it properly, without masticating it properly in the mouth, your saliva doesn't work, and the digestion, the salivary amylase doesn't get time to work. So the food is not going to get digested. It's not going to give you all the energy that you need. Eating on time is very important, because having a regular discipline and time, whether it is eating or sleeping or exercise, everything must be done in a clockwork fashion. Only then your body reacts like that. If one day you eat breakfast at 7 o'clock, one day you eat at 11 o'clock, body gets confused, and that also lowers your immunity. And have a complete balanced nutrition. What is a complete balanced nutrition? So the main thing as far as India is concerned, the bad thing in our diet is the carbohydrate. We take too much of carbohydrate, whether it's rice or chapati or whatever. The carbohydrate intake is very high. In fact, we take about 70%, 80% carbohydrate in the diet. We do need carbohydrate. I'm not saying we don't need carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is the ultimate source of energy, so you need carbohydrate. But we take excess carbohydrate. For that matter, you take excess of anything, it is bad. But in our country, it's carbohydrate. If you take too much of carbohydrate, then your immunity comes down, because then you won't get enough protein, you won't get the healthy fats, you won't get any of the other things. And so you'll develop insulin resistance, you'll develop low-grade immunity, low-grade inflammation, and that is what makes you, more weaker or frail, or reduces your immunity. So reduce your carbohydrate and substitute this with a lot of vegetables. We'll talk about vegetables more in the next couple of slides, especially green leafy vegetables, and take protein. The fruits also come here. In a diabetic patient, you can take 1 or 2 fruits, not more than that. But in a non-diabetic person, you can take 3, 4, 5 fruits a day. Morning, afternoon, night, you can take one fruit. Whichever you like, you can take a mix and take the fruit. Vegetables also take 2, 3, 4 vegetables throughout the day. And then cut down your carbohydrate intake, then you will be fine. Protein comes from, for the non-vegetarians, from fish, chicken, white of the egg. You may say, why not yellow? Yellow is also good, but yellow, 1 egg yolk contains 300 milligrams of cholesterol. That's your upper limit for the whole day. So if you've taken 1 egg, then you cannot take any other cholesterol in any other form. So, and for the protein part, mainly it comes from the white of the egg, the albumin. So therefore, you can take 2 or 3 egg whites. It's very, very, very filling. For those of you who take egg white omelette, you'll find that if you take your breakfast, even at lunchtime, you don't feel hungry. Okay? Fish and chicken, of course, are allowed. And I'll come back to the chicken all later. For vegetarians, the protein sources would be legumes and pulses, like Bengal gram, green gram, black gram, soya, rajma, mushroom, milk. All these contain protein. Healthy fats are very important. Fats are not bad. For years, we've been taught fat is bad, fat is bad, fat is bad. Yes, certain types of fats are bad. Trans fats are bad. What you get in the bakery, and also deep frying. If you deep fry your chicken, you get trans fat. Those are killers, absolute killers. Then comes saturated fat, which is also not very good. Your coconut oil or your palm oil, these are all also rich in saturated fat. Then comes polyunsaturated fats, your safflower, canola, safflower oil, sunflower oil. These are okay, but they have some disadvantages. They reduce your good cholesterol or your HDL cholesterol. Top of the list, the best oil of all is monounsaturated fats or MUFA, which comes from groundnut oil, gingerly oil, mustard oil, corn oil. These kind of oils give you the best monounsaturated fat. Of course, olive oil also, but olive oil we don't use for cooking in India. Now, this is a very important slide, and I want you to remember this slide. Now, when we take a plate to eat, let's say typically lunch or dinner, we are in a buffet restaurant or in a five-star hotel or even in the house. What do? We first take in South India or in East India, we'll first take the rice and put a mountain of rice on the plate. Then we'll put a little bit of vegetables if there is place. Very often we don't even add the protein or the vegetarian. Some curry or some dal or something if we have, we'll give. But the main thing is the rice. Or chapati, 2 chapati, 3 chapati. Then again, after you finish that, another 2, 3 chapatis. Like this, we go on with our food. Okay. So this is what adds to the carbohydrate. If you change your eating habit, and the first thing you do in your plate is to take half that plate and fill it with vegetables. Whatever vegetables are there, and we'll show you different vegetables in the next slide. So different vegetables you take and fill half the plate with that. You've already got your iron, your minerals, your B complex, your vitamins. Everything has already come from those vitamins. They are the powerhouses of nutrition. They are the powerhouse of immunity. Then comes the protein. So 1/4 of your plate is reserved for all those non-veg items. I told you, fish, chicken, egg, whatever. Or as I told you, all these grams, Bengal gram, green gram, black gram, rajma, all these things. So 1/4 of this plate, with every meal, you should try to have some protein. With breakfast, some protein. With lunch, especially for vegetarians, with lunch, some protein, and with dinner, some protein. Only if you do that, you can get about 20% protein. Otherwise, you won't get enough protein. Then that last part of it, you keep for your rice or for your chapati and so on. Now, the fashion nowadays is keto diet or paleo diet. So what they do, they cut off this completely. Okay, even this, most of it will go. And then they'll say, take lot of fat, take lot of, cut off carbohydrate completely, make it 0. Now, from 75% carbohydrate, you make it 0 carbohydrate. For how long will you sustain? Number one. Number two, it's not balanced, because if you see, the protein cannot come more than 20-25%. If you make your carbohydrate 0, you'll end up with 80% fat. 80% fat will definitely increase your LDL cholesterol, no doubt about it. I have seen the coronary arteries getting narrowed even within 3 months, 4 months after taking such a high fat diet. So nothing in excess you should do. You should just reduce the carbohydrate, eat the healthy fat that you should take enough protein, take enough vegetables. This is it. And this should be your meal pattern throughout. It's not a fad diet to try for 2 months. I want to lose weight. I'll try this diet. This diet. I've seen people who have tried 20 different diets in their lifetime. And now they're waiting for the 21st diet to come. I've never changed my diet in my lifetime. I've never changed one diet. I've never tried. I've eaten my same food I've eaten for the last, I remember in 1980s, I was in England. And how I remember is I used to wear Marks and Spencer clothing, because that was, the size is all ready. So you just go and pick it up from the shelf. When Marks and Spencer came to India, the same size, which I wore 35 years ago, 40 years ago, 35 years ago, when I was in England, the same size pant, same shirt. For those who have seen me, nothing has changed. I've not put on 1 kilo in the last 30, 35 years. I've not lost 1 kilo also, luckily. God has been kind. But I've not done any fancy diet or anything. I'm not a big exerciser where I run a marathon. I do exercise, but I do only moderate exercise. I think in life, everything in moderation is what we want. Don't do too much. Even too much of exercise is bad, but you need exercise. We'll come back to exercise in a minute. This is what I meant by different colors. So you don't have to worry, is this carotenoid, is this phytonutrient, which contains zinc, which contains B complex, which contains iron, which contains vitamin C, which contains vitamin D, which contains this, it's difficult to remember. Why do you even bother as a layperson? Just mix everything. Have some white, have some green, have some red, have some yellow, have some orange, have some Put everything together, you're going to get everything. Okay. Today you have all the orange and yellow and something. Tomorrow you have white and the red and something else. If you just mix and match all the vegetables, you will get everything that you need. Believe me. Okay. Now, even a simple thing like tomato. Okay. It will give you lycopene. It gives you vitamin C. It gives you so many things. This protects against prostatic enlargement also. Benign prostatic hypertrophy can be prevented by taking lycopene, tomatoes. So just if you follow the dietary principles, okay, and better if you take it in an uncooked form, then you will be able to get all the nutrients that you need. You need not worry about it. As far as the fruits are concerned, again, different orange, so the orange color, so it's orange, then there's green, there's red, there's yellow, there's white. So again, different, even grapes, purple. So any different color, if you mix and match here, you will get everything that you need from the fruits also. So remember the rainbow colors when you eat. Now, this is what would be a fairly healthy diet. As I said, at the expense of repetition, again, less of carbs, more of the protein, more of the vegetables, okay? But don't, take junk foods like this, pizzas, burgers, this, that. See, people, what happens when you westernize and we eat a Western diet, what happens is we don't give up our traditional meal. If you're going Western, then go completely Western. We can't do that in our country. So what happens? We buy a big pizza, then we eat it. And one pizza is about 1,000 to 1,200 calories. People don't realize that. So what happens is, so let's say a dinner is supposed to be 200 calories or 250 calories. If you've taken this, you've already taken a whole week's dinner, okay? But what happens, because our palate and our mind is not yet used to it, after eating this whole thing, they'll say, where's my dinner now, okay? So the dinner is all this. So why did you eat that then? You need not have had that. Okay, then you'll say, I should never eat this in my life. No, nothing, everything in moderation. In life, everything is in moderation. Have a small piece once a month. Have a small piece for a taste. Nobody's telling you not to eat it, okay? Cut down on all maida items, rava items, and this is what I was saying about the trans fats. You can see how much of fat is there in this when you fry it, deep fry it like this. So have this kind of traditional meal is always good for you. Now, immunity boosters. 3 things everybody keeps talking about. I've got video on vitamin C, on vitamin D, and on zinc. You can listen to it on YouTube. So vitamin C you can increase by taking gooseberry or oranges, satukudi, lime juice, etc. And if you need any vitamin C supplements, it's all the tomatoes. So if you want any supplement, then your doctor may ask you to take, you can take that. Vitamin D is more tricky. Okay, vitamin C is a fat soluble, is a water soluble vitamin, so it's okay. Vitamin D is more tricky. It's a fat soluble vitamin. You can get it only from the sunlight. There are very few other things which give you vitamin D. So from the sunlight, if you have to get it, you have to go and stand in the sun from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, at least 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., at least half an hour, 45 minutes. If you have any clothes on, you're not going to absorb your vitamin D. So you should go and lie in your terrace, bare-chested, lie like that for half an hour, 1 hour. Do we do that as Indians? We actually avoid the sun. We don't even go. We don't want to get dark. So where are we going to get all so much of sunlight to get? That is why we are all vitamin D deficient. Last month, in May first week, we published a paper in the British Journal of Nutrition where we measured vitamin D in Chennai. And we found that 55% of Chennai's population had vitamin D deficiency, of which, if you look at those who had diabetes, was 63%. If you look at those who are obese, 80% had vitamin D deficiency. Okay, so it's rampant. Almost everybody, you and I, will have vitamin D deficiency. For non-vegetarians, again, you can get it from fatty fish or egg yolk. But for vegetarians, there is only some forms of mushroom which will give you. Sometimes milk is fortified or cereals are fortified with vitamin D. Little bit from cheese you can get. Unlikely you will get enough from these. So if you can take supplements, check your vitamin D. If it is low, start a vitamin D supplement and continue it lifelong. This will help not only your bones and muscles, it will also help to prevent certain forms of cancer, help to control diabetes, it prevents obesity. It has many, many benefits. Zinc. Zinc everybody is bothered about now because of immunity. You can get it from food. So actually all the foods I told you, dals, pulses, dairy, eggs, whole grain, shellfish, all these will give you zinc. But if you need a supplement, then you should take. But none of these supplements should be taken without a doctor's prescription or advice because there are contraindications to some of these. And if you have certain, if you have kidney problem or some other problem, and you take vitamin D, for example, it will accumulate, can produce kidney damage. So you must be careful, and without a doctor's advice, don't take any supplements. Now let's move to exercise. Now, exercise has multiple benefits in the body. Of course, it reduces blood sugar, reduces the cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, increases your good cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, decreases triglyceride, decreases blood pressure, decreases body fat, body weight. It increases muscle mass. Now, muscle is something which is absent in Indians. We are a sarcopenic nation. So we don't have enough muscle, which is why we don't win in the Olympic Games. It's not for any other reason that we don't win any prizes, gold medals in the Olympic Games. We're not strong enough. We don't have muscle. We're not like the others who have eat a lot of protein, build their muscle and have strong muscles. We don't have it. We're a weak nation. So therefore, you must do exercise to build up your muscle mass. This will also help to reduce insulin resistance, reduce stress, and prevent some complications. Now, these are foods which give you 200 calories. 3 idlis, 3 chapatis, 2 dosa, 3 vada, 1 and 3/4 cups of rice. I can see some of you saying, so much I can eat for 200 calories. Any one of them, not all of them. Any one of them will give you 200 calories. Okay. So if we eat like this breakfast, this 3 idli itself is giving you 200 calories. So those things should not be there in your plate at all. That's your breakfast. Okay. Now for that 200 calories, you have to burn those 200 calories, exercises. You can run for 12 minutes, swim for 30 minutes, or you can walk slowly for 60 minutes, or walk fast for about 40-45 minutes. Now, some people say, I don't need to do all this. Why? Because I'm working so hard. IPCA makes me work so many hours in a day. And therefore, I don't need exercise. What exercise do you do? Or what work do you do? Oh, I'm in my office all the time. 14 hours I'm working. Okay. 14 hours if you work, it's like watching television for 14 hours. You're only burned 200 calories. Not even breakfast is over. You still got lunch to go, dinner to go. Unfortunately, God gave us only 24 hours in the day. So the point is, these kind of exercise will not do. You have to do regular exercise. And unless you do regular exercise, you are not going to burn your calories. When talking about exercise, there are actually 3 forms of exercise which you should know. The first is aerobic exercise. This most people know, where you burn, use up the oxygen. You're burning the oxygen, using up the oxygen. The lungs will take in more oxygen. That is aerobic exercise. Walking, jogging, swimming, cycling, all these come under aerobic exercise. Most people know about this. It's good. It's very good for the heart. It builds up it increases your heart rate, and therefore it improves your heart muscle. It improves your heart pumping. It helps you to lose weight, control your sugar, control your blood pressure. All these things aerobic exercise does. There are 2 other things. I talked about muscle training. For muscle training, aerobic exercise alone won't be sufficient, because as you walk, your upper body is not getting any exercise. Only your thigh muscles and your calf muscles are getting. If you want to improve all the muscle groups in the body, you have to do resistance training. You have to use light weights. So for the hand, if you take a 2 kg, 4 kg weight and like dumbbells, and then you keep doing exercise, your biceps and triceps, and then if you do like that, your pectoral muscles, and then if you raise your leg, your abdominal muscles. So resistance training is very important if you want to build up your core strength, if you want to become stronger. We published a paper in Lancet about 4 years ago. This is from the Pure study, where we followed up 150,000 people and did very simple thing, grip strength. There's a grip dynamometer. So if you hold grip like that, what is your grip strength? How much can you grip like that? A weak fellow will be able to do that. Another fellow will be able to do so much grip strength. We found that we had done the grip strength 10 years earlier, and then we followed up this population for 10 years. We found that those who had a better grip strength, they lived much longer. They were able to live 5 years, 10 years longer than those who had a weak grip. That's because you're frail. If you're not able to even grip it, already you're frail. You're just waiting to die. Anything can come. You don't need COVID to kill you. Ordinary influenza comes also, you may die because you're so weak. Those are the people who are actually dying due to COVID and dying fast, because they're all so weak that anything is enough to kill them. COVID is only an excuse to kill them. In fact, I heard many of my doctor friends tell me that about 50 to 60% of those who died would have died anyway within 1 year. They were having renal failure, liver failure, their lungs were in bad condition, asthma was very bad, COPD, diabetes uncontrolled, heart disease, triple vessel disease, all kinds of problems they had. When COVID came, that is the last straw in the camel's back, as they say. Okay, so resistance training will improve your weight and will improve your muscle strength. And then flexibility. Flexibility is very important because you do these two things, you can still be unstable. Suddenly you can fall. Okay, because certain groups of muscles are not good, your balance is not good. Above the age of 50, 60, you must start learning balance also. You must be able to lift one leg and still stand on one leg, even with your eyes closed. Initially, eyes closed will be difficult. Later on, with eyes closed also, you can do that. So that means your balance is very good. If your balance is very good, you won't fall. Most people in old age, they die due to a fall. Either they fall and go and hit their head, develop a subarachnoid bleeding or something, head injury, or they break their femur, bone, and then the hip bone. And so due to that, it'll never heal after that. So falls can definitely be prevented. Balance can definitely be a thing. Just like yoga is, of course, very good for this. And I'll come back to yoga and pranayama in one more slide. Now, this is just on a lighter vein. We tell people to take the dog for the walk. This guy being very smart by taking his dog for a walk in his car. So the dog gets exercise, yes. Car gets exercise, yes. He doesn't get any exercise at all. Okay. So when you say, when we tell you things to do, it must be actually done. Now, this is not the next one. It's not a photoshopped picture. It's an actual picture. Just think about it. There's a 24-hour fitness center. It happens to be in the first floor. So you have a few steps to go up. For the convenience of those who are frail and not able to go, old people, those who have knee pain and all that, osteoarthritis, we also kept a escalator by the side. But you'll find everybody taking the escalator. Every single person will take the escalator. Nobody will use the stairs. This happens even in the American Diabetic Association. We had attended a lecture on physical activity. We'll come out and then everybody will use the escalator and they'll go. Okay. So this has become a habit today. And this is what has made us weak. This is what has increased our obesity and increased our diabetes and all the lifestyle diseases. If instead of this, suppose there's no fitness center there at all, just imagine somebody went up, came down, went up, came down, went up, came down, went up. That is enough. You got all the exercise. Your stamina is built up, your heart is built up, your aerobic capacity is built up, your heart function is built up, your muscles are built up, everything is built even without entering into the fitness center at all. You see? So why I'm saying is, wherever you get an opportunity to climb stairs, either up the stairs or down the stairs, use it. That will make you stronger. Try to get 10,000 steps a day. Okay. Now, during the walk down, it is a little difficult. Today, I was just seeing how many steps I got. I'm just at around 6,000, 7,000. I don't think I'll make my 10,000 steps in a day. Now, how did I get to 6,000, 7,000 today? Normally, I would have reached 10,000. Because I would have gone to office. There, I'll go up to I have 4 or 5 flights of stairs, 5 floors of steps. I walk up from the ground floor or basement to the 4th floor, 5th floor. I walk up every day. Then the rounds. So I'll get easily 2,000, 3,000 steps. I'll get there. Now I'm not getting it. So after the lockdown, I'm not able to get 10,000 steps. But I try to get at least 6,000, 7,000 steps. Now how do I do that? I have got a treadmill at home. So on the treadmill, I'll get minimum 4,000, 4,500 steps I'll get in the morning. Having done that, then it becomes easy to get your goal of 10,000 or 8,000 or whatever steps that you get. This comes from actually from a Japanese study, which showed that 10,000 steps a day is a very good way to know whether you're fit or not, and to prevent all non-communicable diseases. 10,000 step formula is very easy. How do you know about the steps? Well, you put it on your phone, either your iPhone or your Android or whichever. There are free software available. Just download it, put it in your pocket, and as you walk, the steps will come automatically. You don't have to do anything about it. Okay. One tip to how to increase your steps would be, whenever you make or receive a call on your mobile phone, walk about. Normally, when I'm making a call, I'll be in this room or in my bedroom. I'll be walking up and down, getting 500 steps, 800 steps, 1,000 steps. Very, very nice way. Why should you sit down and talk? Who asked you to sit down and talk? Walk. Okay. Don't do it if you're walking downstairs, down the stairs, or crossing a road or something. Japan, I think, recently they banned. You cannot walk and talk on the road. They have banned it because so many accidents come. So if you're careful in your house, you can, or in your office, you can definitely get all these steps that you need. Last is about reducing stress and anxiety. Stress reduction is very important. You can do all the exercise you want, and then you can eat carefully. But then if you're not looking after that spiritual side of it, if you're not looking at the stress, even level spiritual, I'll come to that later. Just stress reduction. If you're somebody who's hyper and you're going to keep on getting worried about everything, especially in these COVID days, then your all immunity is going to come down because mind is so much connected to the body. The mind is not separate, body is not separate. You are one human being. The brain, the mind, everything is so much connected to the heart. And we know about the hypothalamus and pituitary axis. We know there are so many vagal nerve. You know, there's so many connections which are there. The body is all in one full body it is. That is where meditation comes in. Sorry. That is where meditation comes in, yoga comes in, recreational activities come in, time management comes in. Okay. All this will help you to reduce your stress. If you write down what you want for the day, then you'll be able to reduce your stress. In fact, about the writing down, I'll give you another tip, which I have written in my autobiography, which is going to get published. It's a Penguin. Because of this COVID, it's got stuck there. So I believe that if you write down what you want, you know, even tonight you can do that. If you don't know what you want in life, just tonight you take a piece of paper and you write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Think about it. Just say, these are the things I would like to have in life. Just write down 10 of them. It can be 20, but that will be too much. Write down 5 or 10. 10 is a good number. Write down 10 things that you want in life. You'll be shocked and surprised to find how quickly those 10 things come if you write it down. If you don't write it down, you may get it, but you won't get all the 10 and you'll get it haphazard. If you write it down, you're already told your brain and you're told your mind, this is what I want. Somehow nature then gets into action. Don't ask me how. That's how it is. Okay. And that's nature. Many of the secrets of nature we cannot understand. This is one of the secrets I am sharing with you. So do that. So that's where yoga comes in. When you're doing yoga, you're just sitting. Yoga is not a religion. Yoga is just a way of life. You're just sitting there and taking deep breath. Where is religion in this? Okay. You think of whichever God you want, you think of when you're doing that. But take deep breath, close your eyes and just allow yourself to relax. Just allow your mind to go blank and you allow your body also to become just loose and think. Suddenly all your stress will go away. When you finish that 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you've got a new energy. You are a new person now. Okay. And that is why I said a life of moderation and do nothing in extreme. Whatever you do in extreme. Suppose today, this is the 10th webinar I was giving today. It's too much. I'll be tired. I will not be able to perform. My brain will not function and it's not good for my heart. Too much of sitting I would have done. It's very, very bad. Okay. Everything in moderation. Whatever you do in moderation is very good. Nothing in extreme. Work-life balance is very important. Whatever your ambition, okay, you may be the most ambitious person, have some time for your family because it's not worth it. Let me tell you. You may be, you know, the greatest achiever, greatest footballer, the greatest musician, the greatest athlete or whatever, swimmer, champion, poet, writer, author, researcher. It doesn't matter. If you don't have time for your family, your life is wasted. Simple. Because they are the only ones who will be with you till the end. And, you know, when people in the end, when they become sick and they're dying, this is what they say. Oh my God, I wish I had spent more time with my son. You know, I was not there for his birthday. My daughter, you know, wanted me to watch a dance performance. I didn't have time for that, you know. Please don't sacrifice all that. You must spend time on all that because that is what will keep you happy. That inner happiness, if you want, it will come from this work-life balance. Nothing is more important than that. You may be the prime minister of the country, president of the country. It doesn't matter. You still have to look after your work-life balance. Sleep is very important. One cannot. Sleep is where nature actually brings you back as a completely refreshed individual. One day, end of the day, you're tired, you're going to sleep, your brain, your body, everything is exhausted. Next morning, you must come back like a new person. That is where renewal takes place. That is where healing takes place. And if you don't allow that healing to take place, you're going to be a sick person. Okay. People think they're being very smart. They can sleep 4 hours a day. Come on. We are all human beings. You're not a superhuman being. You can do it for a short period for a particular goal. I have to finish this particular, you know, when I was in MBBS, doing MBBS, I wanted to get one, you know, physiology prize, which I finally never got because of politics. I never got it. I slept only 3 hours for 1.5 years because my father told me to study for the university exam. Don't study for the prize exam. So I told him I'll study for both. So like a mad fellow, I used to sleep only for 3 hours thing. And finally, the professor decided due to politics, he won't give me the medal. So I lost it also. My sleep also went, never got the medal also. Okay. It's not worth it. It's simply not worth it. Some of my teachers actually told me, why are you studying like a madman? It's not worth it. But I said, no, I must get this medal, I must get this medal, I must get this. Finally, never got the medal also. So 6 to 8 hours of quality sleep. Average is 7, median is 7. We can go as low as 6, as high as 8, not more than 8, unless you're a sick person, something else on doctor's advice. Otherwise, only a child needs more than 8 hours of sleep. Anything you sleep more than 8, something wrong with you. It's not correct. Okay. But try to get into bed by 11 p.m. See, 11 p.m. is outer limit. I would prefer 10:30. But 11 is a kind of outer limit. Anything beyond that, you're stretching it because nature meant you to sleep at that particular time. And then it meant you to get that 6-8 hours of sleep, get up in the morning, have time for your exercise. All that will go if you sleep at 2 o'clock, okay? Then you're going to get up at 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock in the morning, it's so hot in India. Who's going to go for exercise? Gone. That day gone. Then you go to work. Evening where you're going to go for exercise. It'll go. Like this, it'll go. Of all the people I see, in my experience, only about 10% of people follow this discipline. The rest of them are saying, I will do it, but they never do it. So if you're listening to this lecture for a particular purpose, if you're going to improve your immunity, if you're going to forget about COVID, if you're going to improve your quality of your life, from tonight, get into bed. 10:30, 11, it's my time to sleep. Nothing else is important. I just switch off. I put this on silent. I'll take the phone, to the next room and keep it for charging the next room. Why? I don't want the radiation to keep coming throughout the night. Some people keep it near the brain. Why should you keep it near the brain? You're going to get up in the night every hour and check your WhatsApp every hour. Don't do that. You see whatever you want, keep it away, and then till the morning you get good sleep. Similarly, when I do my yoga in the morning, it will be in silent only. Anybody can call. Prime Minister can call. I'll call him back later. But I cannot take that call at that particular time. You have to do that. It's very important. Yoga helps to improve memory, concentration, relieving stress and anxiety. It's a very important component. So people ask, is yoga important or is exercise important? I would say both are important. Instead of doing 1.5 hours of exercise, you keep some time for yoga or don't do 2 hours of yoga. You do some aerobic exercise. You do a little bit of stretching, and that's stretching and the resistance training. You don't have to do every day. Once a week, twice a week. Twice a week is actually ideal. Balance also you can do 2-3 days a week. The rest of the days you do your aerobic exercise and do yoga. Then in that yoga, even whether you do the whole yoga thing or not, all the Surya Namaskar, the whole thing you want to do, it takes some time. You have the time for it, you do it. Otherwise, at least do the pranayama, the meditation part. So for the exercise, you got your aerobics. For the rest of it, a little bit of stretching that will anyway come in your balance thing, it will come. And then you come back and then you do the breathing part, the breathing and 5 minutes of meditation. If you do that, it's all complete. Okay. So relaxing is by finding a hobby. Whatever we keep doing, unless we have a hobby, something else to do, your life is not complete. You won't get that inner peace. Think about it. Why am I now talking to you? Is it my job to talk to IPCA people? Why should I do it? Tell me. Am I getting paid for it? I don't think so. Nobody told me about it in the honorarium anyway. Number two, am I going to get famous now? So 1,000 people of IPCA are going to sing Dr. Mohan's praises. Okay. I will not even know whether you sang my praises or you criticized this talk. I will not even know. Why am I doing it? I am doing it because somebody asked me, Johnny and others asked me, can you talk to our thing and motivate people? I said, yes. By doing that, I get inner peace. By talking to you, I get inner peace. That is my spirituality. That is my spirituality. Okay. And without spirituality, there is no human being. Okay. Spirituality is empathizing with somebody else, feeling for somebody else. Somebody gives you some bad news, you're also sharing that bad news. Somebody gives you good news, you're also sharing that good news. Not becoming immediately jealous of that person, but feeling happy for that. Oh, you got it. Great. It's as if I got it. You just keep saying that and you're going to be a very happy person. Very, very happy. Always you'll be happy. Okay. Nobody can put you down. Now, a couple of slides about management diabetes and the last few slides about panic about COVID. Now, management of diabetes, the first two I've already talked about, diet and exercise. Whatever I told you, cutting carbs, increasing vegetables, increasing protein, taking good fats and reducing calories is the diet for diabetes, prevention of diabetes, pre-diabetes, no diabetes also. It's the same. There's nothing. Except that people with diabetes should avoid sugar completely. Others can take on and off. Exercise, I've already talked enough about it. Medicines are very important. Okay. Somehow, this public perception, allopathic drugs are bad. I don't know who started this, and it's a total lie, but I don't know who started it. Every time some fellow will be coming, you just go on YouTube, there'll be 100 people talking there. I get so irritated. Take this one leaf, you will be cured of diabetes in 24 hours. 24 hours. Okay. I often wonder, after 24 hours, don't these guys go back and beat that fellow and tell him I ate your leaf, but I never got rid of my diabetes? That never happens. You know why? Because that guy thinks I'm the only one who didn't get cured. All others have got cured. From karma, for me, I did not get cured. So this kind of nonsense goes on. But after scientific discovery, after spending years and years and years of research and billions of dollars, when we come out with some medicine, oh, that's bad. That's going to kill you. That will spoil your kidney. That will do this. That will do this. The whole time, we are only, the public is telling us about our drugs and why they are bad and why they should not be taken. After practicing for 50 years as a diabetologist, I can tell you, no drug will harm you. Okay, if used properly. If not used properly, it's like a knife. A very sharp knife can cut your hand also. It can also do beautiful surgery also. Depends on the person who's using it. So don't worry about the drugs. If you have to take it lifelong, yeah, unfortunately you got a lifelong disease. You have to take it lifelong. Okay, but your doctor will tell you what to take. That is why education becomes very important. The fourth pillar is education. If you know all that you have to know about these chronic diseases, then the other three become easy. Now, I just wanted to talk about this Freestyle Libre Pro. The other companies also making it. Medtronic also makes it. Continuous glucose monitoring. One of my favorite things in diabetes control. And some of you may not have heard about it. That's why one of my popular videos is also on this. Now, what it does is you fix this little patch on your hand. It's a non-invasive thing. There is no pain. You can stick it on your hand. And once you stick it on your hand and then activate it with this reader, the reader you just have to activate it. Then it starts reading the blood sugars every minute, every 5 minutes it will print. And then after 2 weeks, you can take out the entire printout and it will tell you, give you graphs like this. This shaded area here, the gray area, is 70 is the lower limit and 180 is upper limit. That is called the time and range. So within that time and range is what your blood sugar should be. Okay. And the machine will automatically tell you the time and range or time and target. This particular patient, when he came to me, his time and target was 0. What did that mean? For the whole day, from here to there, this is midnight to midnight. 2 a.m., 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 noon. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 in the night and midnight again. This is 24 hours. 24 hours, not even 1 hour it's under control, not even 1 minute it's under control. 0% of the time it's under control. The normal value is 70%. 70% should be under control. 4th day, 5th day after I gave my prescription, slowly it started getting under control. 19%, 65%, 62%, 90%, 100%. But at the end of 2 weeks, only 47% was under control. So I told this patient, see, we need 70%. So I'm going to make little adjustment in the dosage. Now let's see next 2 weeks how your control is. And you can see from the next 2 weeks onwards, 98% under control, 98, 98, 100, 100, 100, 100, 94, 96, 95, 100, 98, 100. Average 98%. This is excellent control. No low sugar. This is time in target. This is time below target, 1 or 2%. That's because 70 becomes 69 even for 1 minute of the day. It will pick it up. It's very sensitive. So it doesn't matter. It means 100% they are under control. Not even 1% is above the target. See, 0%. Not even 1%. The previous slide, you'll see 100% was above the target. Okay. Now it's become 0% above the target. Now this is the reason why I'm bringing this up is this is precision diabetes at its best. This shows you the quality of the person who's treating and also how well the patient also has listened to the advice. This is like bringing down a plane. A plane is at 35,000 feet. And then suddenly we slept off. We didn't realize. Then after some time, suddenly we woke up. Everybody's getting ready to get off the plane. Plane has landed and we didn't even know. Such a smooth landing. Fantastic pilot. The pilot knows how to bring down the plane from that height to here without even waking you up from your sleep. Okay. So that is how a good diabetologist will be able to bring down. not much of hypos, not much of jerks, so smoothly. And all this you're able to understand because you have techniques like this. And I'd like you also to spread the message about this. Now, when you assess diabetes control, fasting should be between 100 to 120, postprandial 120 to 160. We gave 180 as upper limit there, but preferably 160. The HbA1c 3 months control test should be below 7%. And now add this fourth parameter, time in range, which should be above 70%. These are the 4 parameters which I now employ to assess diabetic control. Vaccination, one word about vaccination. There's no vaccination against COVID-19, but people with diabetes can take pneumococcal vaccination or influenza vaccination as it can help to prevent secondary infection. Pneumococcal pneumonia is a big killer in diabetes. So, and if you take it once, lifelong you're protected. Only one injection, lifelong you're protected. Influenza, you have to take it every year. And both are recommended by WHO, and every diabetic association in the world has recommended these. Last part, why you need not panic about COVID. Okay, having told all about COVID, why we still should not panic about COVID. Listen very carefully. First, don't worry if you have lost financially. All of us have lost financially. Okay, I can share a secret with you because in April, our center was working at 0%. Okay, in May, it became 30, 40%. Now we are come to about 50%. So we have to keep our centers alive. We can't close down our centers because when COVID came. So we all took a conscious decision. All our staff took 50% cut in their salary. For 3 months, it might get extended also. For 3 months, everybody is on half salary. Okay. As far as we are concerned, the directors, promoters, and directors, my whole family, we are at 0%, 0 rupees income for 6 months. So from April, May, June, July, August, September. Up to September, we will not draw 1 rupee from the hospital. Not that we'll put all that and after October, we'll take everything. Gone. This year is gone. So 6 months of the year, we are going to have 0 income. Okay. Am I depressed about it? I'm not depressed about it because it's a conscious decision I've taken. I know 2021 I'll do well. I know 2022 I'll hit much, much higher than where I am now. Why am I worried? Life is not measured in 6 months. Life is measured much longer. And this is done for the company's sake. We are doing it with, with our full, full knowledge about it, with our full permission it's being done. So I'm not depressed. So don't worry if you lost some money and all that. You can definitely make it up in the future. Remember, this too shall pass. This is very important. Every day you should tell yourself this too shall pass. Because in the next few weeks, you might, I'm not a soothsayer or an astrologer, but we might see huge increases in numbers. The government is not willing to even say this. Oh, there are no cases, no community spread, no this, no that, no. I don't believe that for a minute. I think it has spread. Indians are no different. Oh, Indians are different. Indian virus is different. Indian, gene is different. Indian immunity is different. Indian have had BCG. Indians have had this. Indians are also human beings only. We will also get it. If everybody gets it, we will also get it. But just like they all got over it, we will also get over it. This too shall pass. If you don't think about this, you don't accept this, you will be thinking you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die, and you will die because your mind is what controls you. Okay. If you keep on thinking about something, it's like a prayer. Don't ask me how prayer works. You go and stand in front of a God and then you pray and then it happens. How does it happen? I don't know how it happens. But something in nature starts off. So a negative thought also will become negative. A positive thought will also become positive. That is prayer. So if you keep telling yourself, this will all pass, this will pass, this will pass, it will pass, it will pass, finished, it's gone. And you are also happy. Okay, that's what you should do. Don't panic. Panic, fear, and depression will kill more people in India than COVID-19. Look at the number of suicides which have happened. Look at the number of people who have died due to unnecessary things. People have died. Okay, so let's see some facts. And before that, I think one more slide. Don't listen to too much of Corona news. This Corona news listening has become a every minute people are oh, this died, that died, oh, this man also, that man also, this man. See, it's an isolated case, but you keep on telling your brain, oh, he'll die, he'll die, he'll die, he'll die, he'll die. This is pseudoscience. Most of it, almost every prediction which anybody has made has gone wrong. We don't even know what this disease is. Why are we even trying? Don't listen to all quacks and pseudoscientists telling you all kinds of things. Don't try all that. Now let's face the facts. Fact number 1. Number of COVID cases in India as on 11th June, that is yesterday, was 2.87 lakh people. This is official. Okay. You may say it's actually 2.87 million, 10 times they missed it. I don't mind. If you want to multiply it by 10, 20, you're welcome to do that. But India's population is 1.366 billion, that nobody can deny. So the infection rate, according to government statistics, is 0.0002% of the population. If you want to add one more into 10, you multiply, you remove 1 0 here, it will become 002 instead of 0002. What does that indirectly mean? It means that 99.9998% of the population is not infected. This is not, I'm not making this up. I'm giving you actual simple statistics, simple mathematics. Okay. So what is your chance of getting it if 99.9998% of the population will not get it? Your chance of getting it is 0.0002%. So why should you worry about it? Such a small thing. That chance is like something can fall on your head and you can die. Okay. That also can happen. A tree can fall on you, lightning can hit you, anything can happen. When you step out, a dog can bite you. So many things can happen. That much risk only you have, or a plane can crash. Okay. Fact number 2, 80% of COVID-19 patients are asymptomatic or have mild symptoms like flu or cough or something. 20% will get moderate to severe symptoms. 10% will get admitted to the hospital. 5% are in ICU. Less than 1% will die. Government statistics came out recently. They said it's 0.7%. Before that, about 2 weeks ago, CDC Atlanta gave the death rates. It's only 0.2 to 0.3%. We don't know the denominator. That's the whole problem. Okay. So we may be actually overestimating the death. We are not underestimating the death because 10 times more cases are there which you don't know. So actually the death rate is much lower. So if you get COVID, which is very, 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 very unlikely, if you get COVID, the chances of you dying is very, very, very small. And that's what comes in the next slide. As of June 11th in India, 8,000 people have died. I don't think you can multiply this by 10. Okay. Number of cases you can multiply by 10 or even by, I actually did a statistic. I think you can actually multiply the cases by about 40, 50, 60. That will be the actual number. Okay. In different states, different. Between 40 to 60, you can multiply number of cases. Number of deaths, I don't think can multiply by much more than say doubling or tripling. Where are all the dead bodies? It's a hard endpoint. If you've had thousands and thousands dying, then you would have picked it up. You cannot hide deaths in India. Well, social media and all is so powerful. Dead bodies like that, going like that and all that. So I don't think that many people have died. There could be a mild underestimate. There could be underreporting. They have died of COVID, but they're written non-COVID. Okay, all that is possible. But if you take India's population of 1.366 billion, the percentage of people who have died, if you take these numbers, and I can only take the official figures, it is 0.000005%. So what's the chance of you dying due to COVID or of not dying due to COVID? It is 99.999995%. You will not die due to COVID. Okay. So what do people in India die of? Oh, they die due to tuberculosis. They die due to diabetes. They die due to heart disease. They die due to malaria. They die due to so many other conditions for which IPCA is producing so many medicines. That is what they die of. They're not dying of COVID. Okay. And they will not die of COVID in this whole year if you have COVID also. These figures, 1 or 2 zeros will go here. This 8,000 may become 20,000, 50,000, even bring it 1 lakh. It's nothing. By India standards, more people, every hour that many people with diabetes die in India. Every hour. Okay. So what are we talking about? Are we worried about, oh, diabetes, die. We're not saying that. No. So why should we talk about that about COVID? Where is the paranoia? There is no need for paranoia at all. Okay. Recognize the facts. Unlike diabetes, which you cannot just prevent just like that. If you have to exercise, you have to do this, you have to, so many things. Here, wear a mask, this thing, don't go out, right with the thing, social distancing, wash your hands, this, all that will reduce your chance. That is called social vaccine. Social vaccine. You don't have a vaccine, but it's social vaccine. Social vaccine is wearing a mask, avoiding crowded places, avoiding travel if not needed, not stepping out of the house if not needed, washing your hands, following social. All these, if you do, you've already got a social vaccine, which is going to prevent COVID. Last 2 slides. This has already been told that we have. This is our headquarters in in Chennai, in Gopalapuram. Some of you might have come there. We have about 500,000 registered diabetic patients, the world's largest diabetes services. 48 branches right now. We have closed 2 or 3 after COVID. So 48 branches in 8 states of India. We see about 1,000 to 1,300 patients on a good day. Now we have come to about 500, 600 post-COVID now. But otherwise, we are seeing about 1,000 to 1,300 patients. And that's our contact details. If anybody wants to contact me, also visit our websites. It is here. Want to take a picture of this, you can. And any of you write to me, I'll definitely get back to you. I also wanted to show you, I think Johnny mentioned this about the social media. It's quite right that I got into social media very late. It's only end of January that for the first time in Facebook or Twitter, I've kept out of it all these years. But I thought that this is a time to start connecting with the social media. And also, the person who's publishing my book, The Penguin People and all, they said, you're publishing an autobiography, you're not even in social media. How are you going to tell people you have a book? So you better get into social media. So just for that, I got into it. Twitter, you'll find almost every day I post something in Twitter, Facebook, and so on. YouTube is what I wanted to tell you about. And one request that I have for all of you is, I know many of you are already subscribers of mine, but I would like each one of you to go to YouTube, just type YouTube and then type Dr. V Mohan. You'll get my videos. Subscribe to it because every week at least one video which is motivational I bring out. For example, just 4 of them I'm showing you here. This is about AGP, what I just told you, how to check blood sugar, when, why, and how to use it. Then facts about vitamin D, about immunity. I just made one on hydroxychloroquine, which I hope I'll be able to bring out soon. Whatever is trending, metformin came recently. People are worried about something. Then I talk. Many of them are, very general. Age is only a number. I talked about one of my friends who's 70 years old. My, school childhood friend who was senior to me in school, who after he turned 70, because all his brothers sisters died due to cancer. Every one of his brothers sisters, 6 of them, all died due to cancer. So this man lived up to 70 and he's still there, of course, very active now. And when he crossed 70, he said, I'm going to cycle from Chennai to Delhi. So he cycled in January of this year. He cycled from all the way from Chennai to Delhi. Not even a straight route, even crisscross. So that's a 3-minute video about how at 70 you can do it. So things like this. So if you become subscribers on this, immediately after this talk, I'd request all of you to join this. And with that, I'll stop sharing my screen. And now we are ready for questions.
Thank you, sir, for a very, very excellent talk. There were a lot of wisdom and a lot of pulse in it, and it was different from what I personally hear to you on the conferences, but literally taking so many things. And there is a spiritual side to it. I think that also the glimpses of that also came out. That writing the like goals writing or what you want. That was really, really very good. And overall, the message what I get is that there is a balance of everything. I think healthy living, what you said, was moderation to the diet, where we need to avoid carbohydrate, which is in our Indian diet, and then more of a protein intake, and then a lot of vegetables and fruits and those diet. Then exercise also, I think there also you stuck to the balance between the aerobics and the muscle strengthening exercises. So everywhere, I think that moderation, I think message came out very, very nicely. So I think before and COVID, I think what you presented, that there need not be fear and panic, which is presently happening because of so much coverage in the media. And you put it in right perspective that we have a large population in our country, and compared to that, I think it is not, the picture is not that scary, which is being put out. I think that also came out very, very clearly. I think since, sir, you are the leading diabetologist, I would just told many of our employees would be diabetic. So in the British Medical Journal recently, there was an article where almost 50% of the patients could reverse the remission of diabetes was there. So something on that, if you can give a message to our people.
What Dr. Anil Parikh is referring to is the direct trial. So the direct trial was done in Newcastle by Professor Roy Taylor, who's a good friend of mine. So what he put people on was, he took people who were up to 5 years duration, not very long-term diabetic, but those were recently diagnosed, early diabetes, and then stopped their medication after putting them on a very intensive low-calorie diet. So he gave them only 800 calories per day. It was very strictly enforced. They could take only 800 calories per day. They lost about 15 kg in weight. And by losing 15 kg in weight, they were able to reverse their diabetes completely. So those who had pre-diabetes became normal, those who had normal became pre-diabetic, or those who had diabetic became pre-diabetic or normal, and they were able to reverse it. He was also able to show that up to 3 months, 6 months, I think up to 1 year, he was able to get the follow-up of these patients. So he was able to show that what can get by, say, bariatric surgery, where you lose 15, 20 or more kilos, you could get naturally by cutting down on your calories. Very powerful trial, no doubt that the trial is very, very powerful. My reservation about that trial, however, is that how long can you continue like that? Because if you are motivated to achieve it for a particular purpose, suppose somebody is getting married and they just diagnosed to have diabetes. No, in the next 6 months, I must lose 15 kilos and I'll become normal before my wedding, they will do it. Okay. There are others who are about 5% or 2% of the population who are terribly, terribly motivated. They may do it. And then thereafter in their life, they'll never eat more than 800 calories. I don't think that will be more than 1% of the population. Extremely paranoid, extremely. I knew one of my seniors, doctors, who would take only 1 1/4 slice of bread. 1 1/4 slice. I was having breakfast and I said, he was cutting it and actually making it into quarter, 1 1/4. So I said, sir, half slice, no, half will be too much. So I must take only 1 1/4. This is what I take every day, So like to that extent, there are people who are so confident. I won't say it's even 1%. It'll be like 0.1% of the population. Yes, for them, you can do that. Others, what happens, just like the keto diet or some other diet, they will try it, they will reverse, and they'll say, I can't keep this up. How can I eat only this for this long and all that? Temptations come, there'll be parties, there'll be this, there'll be that. Slowly, once you start relaxing in one thing, and slowly, in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, you're back to square one. Almost every patient of mine was at keto diet and all these paleo diet and all these Atkins diet. All of them came back, oh, now I'm off insulin, I'm off tablet, I've lost 15 kilos, my HbA1c is 5.6 now, I've been cured of diabetes and all. 3 months later, quietly, and they'll meanwhile spread it in the social media. They'll be spreading it like wildfire. Everybody thinks everybody can achieve that. 3 months later, he'll come back. His HbA1c will back to 8, 9. He's back to tablets. Never once he'll go back in social media and say, sorry, folks, I was wrong. Now it has gone back. Have you ever seen one fellow go back to social media and say, no, I made a mistake. Not a mistake. I achieved that, but now I'm not able to achieve it. It goes back. That nobody will ever say it because the ego won't allow them to say it. So that is what happens. So while these are very good, they're very good because they show that it can be done. So if somebody really wants to do it, that's the proof that it can be done. Is it sustainable in the long run? I don't know. Is it safe? Well, there are some doubts that if you go below 800 calories and so on, sudden cardiac arrhythmias, nutrients you may miss out. It needs to be done under medical supervision. It's not somebody at home says, okay, I'm not going to eat this, I'm going to eat that. Suddenly you'll miss out on essential nutrients, essential amino acids. We don't know what all that will trigger, whether immunity will go down, whether your heart, some fibrillation will come or something else will come. We don't know. So you have to be very careful about these things. So it's good. It's a good step. That's why I kind of went halfway. And I said, see, if you take all those vegetables I showed you in that half plate, where is the calories in that? Nothing. Now you got all the protein in the protein that I had and that little bit of carbs. It may not be 800 calorie diet. It may be 1,000 or 1,200 calorie diet. You may not achieve 15 kg weight loss. You may get 3 or 4 kg weight loss, but it is sustainable. You may not go off all medication. Your medication may come down. You may still need a metformin or you may need one drug or something. That's fine. It doesn't matter if you take it. My patients have lived up to 90, 100 years, which both of you mentioned. They are taking medication even now. They are not without medication that they lived all their years. That's why I said the side effects of a thing and all that is a myth. It is not true. You know, people have taken it for 50, 60 years. I've got records of people have taken 60 years, 70 years, nothing happens. People say my kidney will get spoiled. Kidney will get spoiled due to diabetes. It's diabetic kidney disease, diabetic nephropathy, Kimelsin-Wilson disease. That is what you will get, not drug-induced diabetes. Yes, there are certain drugs we must be very careful about, painkillers. There are certain drugs which we must be very, very, very careful about. They are nephrotoxic drugs. So certain antibiotics, certain painkillers, there are nephrotoxic drugs. Certain things used for fungal infection, amphotericin B, it will knock out your kidney. By the time you finished your 3-week, 4-week course, 50% are in renal failure. So there are drugs like that, which you have to be very careful before you use some of those drugs.
Thank you, sir. I think you gave your perspective that we don't know how it will be sustainable and all that. So these are the questions which many diabetics have in the mind. So I think there again, we are emphasizing on the moderation part, not so strict. What other nutrient deficiency will come out and all that. So with this now, I request Johnny to address some of the questions which employees have. Johnny.
Yes, sir. So thank you. Thanks for your time and an excellent points that you have shared with us, which is going to be very useful. Sir, a few questions which has come as like if the HbA1c of a diabetic patient is 5.7 every time and insulin levels are in control, is there any worse effects because of corona which is expected or which the patient will get induced? That was one question which has come
from the data that we have from Wuhan and from the other countries where the data has been published. If you look at those who survived after corona and those who did not survive, if you look at those who had worse outcomes and those who did not have worse outcomes, in those who did not survive and those who had worse outcomes, the HbA1cs were very, very high. So we know that if you have uncontrolled diabetes, I gave that example of the match, if you put it, it explodes. That happens only if your HbA1c is high. If you have your HbA1c of 5.7, as you said, it's a non-diabetic value. So why would you even have any ill effects due to, you'll be like any other person without diabetes. So even if you don't get a 5.7 or 5.6, it's difficult. 6.5, if you're able to get, it's fantastic. Now, I'm not giving one number for HbA1c because it is varied. For an 80-year-old person is different, for a 30-year-old person is different, somebody with kidney problem is different, somebody with heart disease is different. So there is no one number. 7 is kind of a safe limit for retinopathy, nephropathy, and neuropathy. That came out from UKpedia study, DCCT study in type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, same 7% came. So from 5.6 and below is non-diabetic, 5.6 to 6.4 is pre-diabetic, but for a diabetic, even up to 7, 6.8, 6.7, all okay. From 7 onwards, your risk of complications increases by 25 to 30% for every 1%. So 7 to 8, already 25%, 30% increase. From 8 to 9, another 25, 30%. By the time it's come to 9 or 10, you're already at 100% risk. Okay. Similarly, if you reverse it from 10 to 9, 9 to 8, 8 to 7, you're reducing 25%, 25%, 25%, your risk is coming down. By the time you come to 7, you're almost near 0 risk. And if you come down still lower, 6.5, you're at 0 risk of developing 3 complications: eye, kidney, nerves. These 3. For heart, sugar control alone is not sufficient. You have to control the BP, you have to control the lipids, you have to control the sugar, you have to stop smoking, you have to exercise, you have to reduce your stress, and probably use some blood thinners or lipid lowering drugs and so on. If you do all of these, then your heart is also protected. That's what the Steno study showed. Multifactorial intervention. One intervention is not sufficient. For the eye, kidney, nerves, which is a specific complication of diabetes, this is enough. HbA1c less than 7. But for the others, heart attack is not a specific diabetic complication. Even a non-diabetic can get it. Strokes, peripheral vascular disease. For all this, all these you have to control. If you control all of these, then your risk comes down.
Then again, from the field perspective, what the people say is, I mean, what are the precautions when they move from office, I mean, hospital to hospital, sort of a thing? Though we are given a guidance as an expert from your point of view, sir.
Because honestly speaking, the risk is very, very high. So if you can do something through telephone for the next, say, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, after that, things should be normal. There is a big risk because hospitals are, especially if they're treating COVID, we don't treat COVID. We don't even diagnose COVID. We don't even have a COVID test in our, it's a conscious decision we took. Because we said, many of our investors now said, why don't you now get into COVID? You can make some money, you can do COVID testing. And I said, this is a high-risk population, diabetic population, a high-risk population. Why would I expose them to COVID? If I start saying I'm a COVID center, all the COVID patients will come here. They'll come and infect all my diabetic patients. My core strength is diabetes. I am trying to prevent COVID here, no? And so I said, no COVID treatment, no COVID diagnosis, nothing. I'm just doing what I know I will do. So even y'all, when you go from hospital to hospital, there is going to be a big risk. So what I would suggest is, as far as possible, be in touch through email, be in touch through telephone, be in touch through, Zooms or meeting, or like we are doing with you, webinars and so on. Be in touch with all the key doctors like that. Keep sending them messages, keep sending them SMSs and WhatsApp positive things. Give them information about the latest things that are needed. Okay, send them brand reminders also through SMS, through thing, whatever you need to do, you can do. But as far as possible, next 4 to 8 weeks, I think physical contact, if possible, you should do. If you're not able to do that, you have to go, then you must wear a mask, 100%, no doubt about it. And that mask must be changed frequently. Then hand washing before you enter the premises, hand sanitizer. So when they enter our center itself, right at the gate, the Gurkha is having security fellows giving sanitizer, alcohol sanitizer to everyone. And every staff member, every patient, if they're not brought a mask, they're given a mask and they have to wear it before they actually enter. Then the hand sanitization is done. Then we try to keep a distance wherever possible. Even seating is kept in such a way, one person sits here, 4 places away only the next person sits. So crowding is prevented, okay? So that physical distancing is maintained. Then wherever possible, we try not to touch and send things electronically to people. All those things we're trying to do. So and then when they leave the center, again, they have to have a hand sanitization because they might have picked up the infection. They should not go and infect their families. And then, of course, clothes and all that, very unlikely that through this it will come because it will die. In the heat, it will die. It's not going to stick there and then come and thing somewhere else. It is very unlikely. Only through direct transmission. Somebody coughs, sneezes, even speaks. As I'm speaking, through my saliva or something, that is enough to transmit. That is why I say the religious centers, luckily yesterday they've said, keep it closed for some more time. That is why people sit close together, sing bhajans, sing choir or sing something else. And so you'll spread the infection more. So those, you do it at home, pray at home for some time, okay? And then later on, you can, no congregation of any type, which can be avoided, must be avoided. That is why even our conference, which we're going to do in July, every year we have a very nice get together. This year we're going to do it virtual. We said we just cannot do it. Maybe next year we will see. So wherever not needed, we should not have an opportunity for people to mingle. It is because of this that it is spreading. If the moment you cut that, you will find that the disease is slowly dying away. Those who have it will recover from it. They won't pass it on to others, and that's it. From there, it will go off. Somebody has to give it to you. You won't just catch it sitting here. You won't get corona. Sitting here, you can get a heart attack, but you can't get corona. That is it.
Okay, sir. So I think there are quite a good number of questions. I think where the time is also just limited. So we will maybe some few questions if you could mail us, and then if you could give us some feedback, that would be of a great help for our colleagues. Request from my end. And sir, at the outset, it's a great honor to have you. And I request our President, Mr. Sunil sir, to also share a few words. Sir.
Good evening, sir. And on behalf of IPCA, I am thankful to you for sparing your time. Today is really very wonderful. I was thinking you will speak about something about on the diabetes and all, but you speak about a philosophy, very motivational. The moment I see Corona news, I am really demotivated, but somebody listen you, really is very, very motivational. And today there's a great learning, the way you explain. We never explained to our colleague like that. So once again, sir, thank you very much for sparing this time and for motivating entire IPCA team, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Sincere gratitude, sir.
All the very best.
Thanks for your